living a balanced life with multifamily cash flow, and how cash flow is important to give you that time component freedom. A lot of us, if you were like me back in the day, I worked a full-time W-2 job, a consistent paycheck coming in every 2 weeks, exchanging your time for money, and not really having control over what you do on a day-to-day basis. I didn't like it. I knew that there was a better path forward for me. And so I started to acquire real estate. I didn't get started actually investing in single family houses or multifamily. I first got started by buying a commercial office building because the numbers worked for me. And this is where, the first topic of the power of scale with either multifamily or larger commercial properties. What I did is I said, hey, I want to quit my job and become a full-time real estate entrepreneur and investor so I can have a balanced life. Prior to me doing that, I did not have a balanced life at all. I was traveling probably 200 nights a year in a hotel room, 150,000 miles, a lot of hours and time and days spent in airports, in airplanes, in taxis, traveling for my financial consulting job. It was phenomenal experience from a personal perspective, traveling around the world, seeing different places, and phenomenal experience from a business perspective, working with multi-billion-dollar clients to help improve their cash performance and revenue performance. But I didn't have a balanced life. I wasn't able to really see the future that I wanted, being in that position and having a family, having a significant other at home. Me being away really took away from that. And so, my wife and I made a conscious, the joys of working from home with a balanced life. Someone knocks at the door and our dog is barking. So all good there. But living that balanced life is something that I wanted to have, and I wasn't getting it. And so my wife and I, kind of girlfriend at the time, we decided to sell everything, move from California all the way to Charleston, South Carolina, and start investing in real estate because the San Francisco real estate market was very difficult and challenging because it was a high capital barrier to entry. You had to buy really expensive houses or commercial properties, and down payments on, multi-million-dollar properties were a lot more than we could afford at that time. And so moving was one start to getting that balanced life. And then the second piece of that equation was figuring out what a financial freedom number was by getting into multifamily scale or commercial size assets. And so what I did is I said, okay, my job, I was making whatever it was, I'm going to use easy numbers here, $10,000 a month from my W-2 job. And how can I methodically work backwards to replace that income so I could quit that job, become a full-time investor, and enjoy the benefits that cash flow provides for us. And so, like I said, we bought a commercial office building. We were able to rent out all of the units, pay the bills, and generate about $5,000 a month in cash flow. And that was what got us started. So when I was looking at things, I evaluated, okay, what does a single family generate in a month? And it was like, $100, $200, maybe $300. And I was thinking about, okay, I would have to buy 20, 30, 50, maybe 100 houses to get to 10 grand. And that would take way too long. And so I said, okay, I can't look at any single family rentals. I have to look at multifamily and I have to look at commercial, because you're generating a lot more cash flow from that size and that scale. And it was achievable to manage with a kind of solo entrepreneur business model. I didn't have a massive team like we do today. And so starting out, I think, number one, multifamily or commercial provides a phenomenal scalability to run a profitable business and predictable business model, where you shouldn't be affected by too many ups and downs in a month. And what I mean by that is, if you have one single family house and your tenant moves out, your occupancy goes from 100% to 0%, versus commercial or multifamily. If you have one person or one renter move out, your occupancy should still be in a healthy range where you're still generating positive cash flow. So going into those larger properties, very important to do it, gives you that scalability to generate income on a monthly basis, which is what you need to have a balanced life. So when I think about a balanced life, being able to check off financial freedom gives you the opportunity to do those extra things, or be home, work from home, spend time with your kids, put the computer away at 5 o'clock in the evening and do family time, or go do activities with friends, tennis, pickleball, whatever it is. Financial freedom is a huge component to having that balanced life. And financial freedom to me means generating enough income from passive activities that support your cost of living. So if you tally up what you pay for rent or your mortgage, plus your cell phone, your food, all of your living expenses for a month, and if you can have your investments generating enough income to cover that expense, you just lifted a huge burden off of your shoulders, and you can have that balanced life to do those things you want to do and not be beholden to punching the time clock and trading your time for money. So that really leads us into, kind of that second point of how to work when you don't have to. Having income that generates cash flow for you is a beautiful thing. It's one of the, eighth wonders of the world. I think, compound interest is from Warren Buffett, the eighth wonder of the world. But Robert Kiyosaki is a, huge messaging person around having your money work for you rather than you working for your money. So it's that little mindset shift that's really important as you think about getting to a balanced lifestyle and what it is you need to do. I'm going to pause for just a minute and jump into the chat box and see if there's any questions that I can answer for you. Feel free to use the chat box or the Q&A box. I'll do my best to try to keep up with both of them. There are no slides. We will send out this recording after we are done. Let me see here. Perfect. Got it. Albert Einstein, thank you. Eighth wonder of the world. I know Buffett has said it before. Happy to answer any questions that people have specific to their life or their current situation, or if you're looking at a particular deal or how that fits into having a balanced lifestyle. So feel free, use the chat box, use the Q&A box. I will do my best to monitor both of those. And going back to what I was saying, as far as that balanced lifestyle goes, you need to, I think, checking that financial freedom box where your investments or your equity nest egg is generating enough income to cover your cost of living allows your mind to open up to different activities that you can do and lets you kind of figure out how you really want to spend your time and what it is that having a balanced lifestyle means to everyone else. So, one thing that I love to do with my family is we'll take a walk every morning just around the house in the neighborhood, and we'll go and get coffee. And, the first hour or so of my day is just doing that and not having to jump onto a meeting or a phone call. And it's, quiet time. It's peaceful. We're enjoying, the fresh air, being outside. And it's the simple things in life that really allow you to have that joy and fulfillment. So that's one thing that I really look forward to doing. And it's because of that kind of thinking backwards mindset of, okay, how much income do I need to generate to cover my cost of living? And then I can expand my mind and work on projects that are very exciting or investment opportunities that can generate more income or different ways to give back to the community and getting into that balanced lifestyle. Okay. One of the questions in here is, what do you do when sponsors stop distributions, like during COVID or with the current interest rate environment? And I think it is a combination of it's a combination of what your personal portfolio is. So one thing that I am always talking about is each individual person is responsible for their personal portfolio. So you should have a balanced portfolio of long-term investments, short-term investments, and different buckets of money where you are not beholden to one sponsor or one area to get those distributions. And so I think there are vehicles out there that you can invest in that are predictable, that are consistent monthly distributions, regardless of what's going on in the economy. And that is a way to keep yourself balanced and really, really protect against what it is that you personally need from a financial freedom perspective. And I would always try to think about, number one, you should control that portfolio allocation and make sure that you have enough allocated for your personal portfolio to that less disruptible bucket so you can have predictable cash flows. And like I said, those investments are out there and available. Happy to have a conversation and talk about one of our lending business where we do short-term loans. So that is a way to have predictable cash flow regardless of what's going on in the economy, because you can move and change loan terms based on what it is. What is your favorite software that helps you balance your real estate ventures? Let's see here. From an investor perspective, we use an IMS investor portal. So as an investor, you can log in and see how much capital you've invested in the project, returns to date, different things like that. I'm an old school kind of thinker from a personal perspective. So I just try to keep a spreadsheet of what I personally do and track. That to me is pretty easy, pretty comfortable. I always try to follow the keep it simple philosophy. And so a spreadsheet for me is pretty straightforward. I can kind of plug things in and change things and go from there. Let's see. What else? If you have other questions, please use the chat box or the Q&A box. I'm going to go for probably about 5 more minutes. So if there's any questions, now is the time. Happy to address them. Let's see what we got coming in here. Would I mind sharing a copy of the spreadsheet? Mine is really simple. I just have a couple of columns to track, what the investment type is, what the cash flows are, or what the expected cash flows are, and a row per each. So again, I keep it really simple. You can probably Google some sort of income and expense tracker and try to build it out from there, but I don't really try to overcomplicate it. Oh, perfect. Joe, thank you. Whitney did a prior webinar with a spreadsheet sample. So I would go back into the Multifamily Investor Nation, look for that webinar that Whitney did and check it out from there. If there are no more questions, I will wrap things up, call it a wrap for today. Next week, we will catch you same time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern. I was reading something in the chat box. Thank you. There's another software out there if you want to track investments. I would just do a Google, see what works. Again, my philosophy is just keep it simple. Don't try to get ultra fancy or too granular. It should be a high level look, and you should kind of know what's going on in each bucket. Thank you, Leonard, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you. I will be at the MFIN Con in June, so a couple weeks away. I hope to see all of you there. We will catch you next week with next week's webinar, 11 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you register for that coming up, and we will catch you all later. Thank you.